Hello, everyone. Good morning from Brazil. My name is Maria Alexandra Laffeach. I'm a researcher at the Center of Studies of BRICS from the University of São Paulo. And it is a great pleasure that we start here the second day of our sixth BRICS conference with the topic of internet, cybersecurity, and data protection. Yesterday, we had the opening speech with the participation of Paulo Nogueira Batista Jr. and the mediation by the professor Paulo Borba Casella from USP. And we had also two excellent panels on the subjects of cooperation in defense and security and energy security, which are available on the Ibrachina Oficial YouTube channel for everyone who wants to watch. First of all, I would like to thank very much each of the speakers who dedicated a little bit of their time to share with us their knowledge about this very important topic. In the next decade, the growth in internet access is expected to occur mainly in Asia, Latin America, and Africa, and particularly in the BRICS countries. So the increase of internet users brings a series of innovations that today are indispensable to our society. But it also brings, at the same time, a growing need for policies that regulate the internet to guarantee a peaceful, secure, and open digital space. So in this sense, the BRICS countries are increasing their cooperation in the areas of science and technology and promoting synergies with regard to digital policies. And today, we have these four experts, and they will give us an overview of what has been done on the subject of internet and cybersecurity in their respective countries. But they also will give us a little bit of perspectives for the future of BRICS on this subject. So we have four speakers today: Dr. Happy Sithole from South Africa, Professor Shen Yi from China, Nina Hora from Brazil, and Professor Indra Kumar Singh from India. I will introduce each one. Our first speaker will be Dr. Happy Marumo Sithole. Dr. Happy Sithole is the center manager from the South African Cyber Infrastructure System. He spent 12 years as the director of the Center for High Performance Computing. He completed his PhD in material science at the University of Limpopo, where he also lectured for 9 years. Dr. Sithole sits on the steering committees of high-performance computing meetings on Germany, Russia, Singapore, and Poland. He is the co-chair of the Infrastructure Working Group of Global Open Science Cloud Initiative, and he's a board member at the Center for Nuclear Safety. Our second guest is Professor Shen Yi from China. He's a professor and doctoral supervisor of the School of International Relations and Public Affairs at Fudan University, and he's also the director of the Center for BRICS Studies at the Fudan Development Institute. His professional specialism is international relations and cyberspace governance. He's mainly engaged in research in information technology and international security, media and diplomacy, major country relationship, national cyber security strategy, global cyberspace governance, and network diplomacy. He was a postdoctoral visiting scholar at Georgetown University, and he's the leading expert and researcher on cyberspace-related issues in China. Our third speaker is joining us from Brazil. She's Nina Hora. She's a scientist in construction and computer science by PUC-Rio University. She's a researcher in computational thinking, and Nina is the responsible for two important initiatives, the Computação da Hora and Ogunhê, and in response to her questions in education, and she ended up creating the best version of herself. She's also a teacher, since it is in her family blood. And now Nina continues researching content, writing, spreading science, and being an anti-racist hacker. And our fourth and last speaker is Professor Indra Kumar Singh. He's currently assistant professor and program coordinator in Institute of Legal Studies and Researcher at GLA University in Mathura. He already worked as assistant professor at Sri Ram Shavaru Memorial University. He has a PhD at Lucknow University, and Professor Singh presented many papers in international and national conference about the subject that we're having today, as the paper Online Privacy and Personal Data Protection, Illegal Prospective at Rama University, and Challenges of Intellectual Property to Indigenous Culture, presented at Lucknow University. A very warm welcome to all of the speakers that we're having today. We at the Center of Studies of GEBRICS from the University of São Paulo are very glad with the participation of these speakers that are so relevant in this area and have so much to contribute to the discussion. So I'm sure it will be a very enriching event for the public. I would just like to make a note for those who have registered for the conference. The attendance list is in the comment section from YouTube. So please fill it in. And without further comments, I would like to invite Dr. Happy Sithole, manager of the National Cyber Infrastructure Integration Center, to speak. Doctor, if you are with us, please feel free to start, and thank you again.
Thank you, Maria. I take you can be able to see my slides now. And let me just get the pointer. Okay, I will first get this on. Okay, I think that's good now. It's on presentation mode. First of all, good morning in Brazil, and it's a good afternoon in South Africa. That's the good thing about the BRICS countries. You can tell us about the different times of the day where we are sitting. So I am happy to be in this panel and to discuss the important topic about the network security and cybersecurity. So my approach will be to look at our approach here to look at securing national strategic infrastructure from the cyber infrastructure's point of view. And Maria just to go to your specific ask in this case is that within the BRICS countries, we have got various initiatives. The first one is in the BRICS, we have got the ICT and HPC working group that coordinates the activities of the developments of high performance computing and ICT within the BRICS countries. And through this, one of the objectives is to make sure that we can be able to collaborate as the BRICS countries in providing this strategic infrastructure. The other initiative within the BRICS countries is the BRICS Future Networks. And the BRICS Future Networks is also looking at what are the networks of the future and how can we be able to protect them. So these are very big initiatives that I believe this conversation about the security, how we protect our infrastructure will always come. So for today, what I'm looking at is just to talk a little bit about our institution. It's looking at everything, your high performance computing. It's looking at the data. It's looking also at transportation, which is the network. And all this defines the cyber infrastructure of the country. They drive very strategic projects within the country. And as you can see, things like your square kilometer array, bioinformatics, climate change, this is a lot of data that is sitting in this infrastructure that will require to be protected. And obviously with that, our strategic objective is to make sure that we do have got infrastructure. We support the science, but also we support these big initiatives. We keep on making sure that we evolve the infrastructure, but also we build human capital, which means that we train the workforce. So these are overall on that. This is a picture that shows you various infrastructure that is in there, our high performance computing systems. We have got also the cloud implementation. These are the OpenStack cloud. And we also support some of the experiments like your Large Hadron Collider. So it's very important data that is sitting in this infrastructure that needs to be protected at all the times. We have got a comprehensive network that is covering the country, and at the moment is at 100 gigs per second, and we are connected to the international world. This is also to make sure that we can be able to collaborate. And in our collaboration is also looking at how do we also make sure that our systems are secured. In terms of the data infrastructure, you can see the amount of data that is being stored, also in tape. So coming from high performance computing systems on the clouds. So this is all the data that people are using. So when you think about security, one of the things that we have to think of is that when people use the cyber infrastructure, there are various requirements. And for an example, coming from academia, we have got various type of uses, and with all that, there are also regulatory burden. So if we're looking at, for an example, in this case, we can go to classified in that case, and we can go to completely open. Most of the time, our academic institutions, they will do things, they would like to collaborate, and they would like to see things being open, but sometimes we have got users that require classified information. So this various spectrum of users says that even in terms of how you provide security for infrastructure, then it becomes different. So for an example, some of the practices that we look at, in this case, creating science DMZs. Sometimes we create dedicated network transfers on the WAN, and in some cases, likely supervised performance monitoring to detect if there are any misconfigurations. And in all the times, we have got appropriate security, and mainly using our router access and the control. Some of the challenges that you find is that because of this, we have got the academic users, say on the HPC systems, they are widely dispersed, and there's international collaboration. So sometimes it's very difficult also to looking at doing background checks on users, and most users also, again, they write their own applications. So for an example, in this case, then it becomes very difficult also to look at runtime to be able to see if the systems are compromised. And with that, we have got potential challenges in how you protect the infrastructure. The potential harms in this case, obviously, one of the things that people look at is that when we have got this big infrastructure, the hackers always are looking at how can I get my hands into this type of infrastructure. And sometimes they're also with such computational power beyond, like say, mining the Bitcoins, but they can do more harm if they've got, let's say, for an example, access to your HPC systems. And so those are the type of things that we have to keep on looking at and making sure that we do secure the systems. And some of the strategies in closing those gaps, for an example, we find that we're looking at containerization, and maybe for an example, you develop a common sense security control baseline, and building some cybersecurity framework for HPCs, you know. So these are just some of the initiatives that are coming in that we look at globally. In South Africa specifically, what we'll see that we have got the coordination on the HP at international level. We've got the CSAT. We have got our network where we're looking at also the CSAT in our network, and we collaborate with international. And also we have got locally our own internal teams that making sure that we provide security for that. We have got, for an example, membership with other international organizations, as you can see, and collaborate on looking at the vulnerabilities so that we can be able to provide support for our users. Some of the things that we do, doing all the vulnerability scans, and for universities, we provide alerts, and if there are any threats, we do announcements. And of course, we have got an incident response to make sure that whenever there are challenges, we can attend to that. This is just a snapshot just to show you real-time scanning, for an example, where we scan on various vulnerabilities. This will be the type of things that we're looking at. We also look at the type of gathering the vulnerabilities coming from various countries. You can see that these are the sort of things that we continue looking at this, and these are operations which are 24/7. And it will also give you the type of attacks. For an example, are there some of the things that are like web-based? Do we have got a network type of attack? So a number of different types of attacks will be able to be seen on that case. So those are the efforts that we take in terms of protecting our infrastructure. But I believe that these are the things that you cannot just do as a single country, but requires collaboration. And out of the two main initiatives that I talked about on BRICS ICT, on HPC, it's one of the important things that we need to bring in, but also on the BRICS future networks. These are some of the things that we have to think about, because in all the BRICS countries, there's a heavy investment in cyber infrastructure and lots of data that needs to be protected, and we can gain in that collaboration. With that, I'd like to end it there, Maria, and I'm looking forward to hear the other colleagues, fellow panelists, what they have to share. Thank you very much.
Dr. Sithole, thank you very much for your presentation. A heavy investment in the cyber infrastructure is really an important issue that BRICS need to be considering. Thank you again. And we'll be continuing now with Professor Shani, that is the director of the Center for BRICS Studies at Fudan Development. Professor, the time is yours. Feel free to.
Thank you, Maria. Distinguished professors, hello everyone. The topic of my presentation today is the geopolitics in the digital economy, analysis of the opportunities and the challenges facing the global cyberspace governance. And reality is that today's global cyberspace governance is at a crossroads. We're facing new threats. According to the report on Thursday, October 20th, by cloud security firm declared last Wednesday evening, October 19th, a serious incident involving an undersea cable in the south of France caused widespread internet connectivity problems. Despite being calling an accident, the people worry about is whether it intensifying a geopolitical game will make the critical infrastructures on which the normal operation of global cyberspace depends on facing more serious security threats. These threats are not purely hypothetical. The man-made sabotage of the Nord Stream natural gas pipeline shows that in the context of the continued intensification of the geopolitical games between major powers, the tacit understanding of not actively attacking a critical infrastructure is undermining. Of course, the biggest threat comes from a erosion of the strategic trust foundation between the major powers, which will seriously weakening the foundation for the continued existence and the sound development of global cyberspace governance. Looking back at the disintegration of the collapse of Soviet Union in 1991, the general process of world historical development since the end of the Cold War, the formation of global cyberspace and the development of global cyberspace governance, it can be seen as a kind of positive outcome of the post-Cold War erasing geopolitical situations. When the security concern released, people can launch more easily on corporations to solve these global governance issues represented by the cyberspace governance. But just this month, the President of the United States announced that the post-Cold War era is ended in his National Security Strategy report, and placing a geopolitical threat characterized by the strategic competition of great powers as the top priorities. Although in the same report, it still point out that the shared challenges, including how to governance the global cyberspace properly and the climate change, dealing with the climate change threats, is also very important. It raises a very tough questions. How can we launch effective cooperations even though we face more and more tougher geopolitical competitions among the major powers definitely will leading to the erosion of strategic confidence. And such kind of confidence and trust play a very important role to push forward effective cooperations on global cyberspace governance. Since the end of the early 1990s to present, neither the governance of global cyberspace nor the governance of other transnational issues has been able to sustainably excluded or circumvented effective strategic cooperation between the major powers. Basic trust between these countries is one of the necessary conditions to promote the formation and the proliferations of international norms, which providing the strategic pillars for any possible governance cooperations in global cyberspace. But today, there's a real need to rethink the question of why global cyberspace governance is so vital to the world today and worthy of the efforts to eliminate the threat posed by the geopolitical negativities and the challenges. The importance of digital economies to today's world should undoubtedly be an answer. The substantive challenges facing the world today and to deal with the impact of global spread of the new coronavirus, which the impact is not only on public health, but also raise tough threat to the global stable growth of global economy. The stable and sustainable growth of global economy requires the digital economy to play a very crucial driving role. The large-scale cross-border data flows involved in the digital economy activities require more flexible and resilient mechanisms to implement high-quality and high-standard data standard governance. This kind of governance should be a fair governance, and the core interest of the security concern of various actors, especially sovereignty state actors, should be effectively respected and guaranteed. For example, cross-border data flows should not be used as a weapon to intervene and threaten the domestic political process of a sovereign state. For example, cross-border data flows should not be regarded as a new type of criminal means to implement new type of transnational telecommunication fraud the disseminations of child pornography and other forms of transnational organized crime and other inappropriate activities in the cyberspace. And the cross-border data fellows should empower the sustainable economic development of various countries and become a driving force for each country to achieve its own sustainable development rather than an obstacle. Such kind of governance should be one that integrated the development and the security. After the end of the Cold War, military security in the traditional sense is being replaced by a more comprehensive and broader new security agenda. Development and security issues with very clear boundaries in traditional sense are now becoming increasingly nested and even show a new trend of integrated development. This governance should be a fair and more inclusive governance. It helps to promote more balanced distribution of capabilities and wealth among different countries and among different group of peoples inside countries, and allow each country to decide on its own development models and the path to development. The development of digital economy has brought opportunities to hedge against the geopolitical threats, and emerging countries represented by the BRICS may explore some best practice with demonstration effect. The BRICS countries had already reached a cybersecurity roadmap, and the cybersecurity and the governance practice carried out by the BRICS countries in their respective countries are important attempts by emerging powers and developing countries to promote benign changes in global cyberspace governance. At this crucial crossroad, facing the severe impact and challenges of global cyberspace governance, the BRICS countries can make effective attempts in at least the following 5 aspects. The first, continue to advance the governance of critical infrastructure protections in a more international directions. In 2013, the transfer of IANA stewardship marked important progress in this Tunisia process that begins in 2003. However, there is still much more room for improvement in the extent of this progress for global cyberspace governance, ensuring that more developing countries can obtain network resources represented by the domain names and IP address, as well as more reliable access to key infrastructures in a lower cost and more sustainable ways should be the direction of our efforts. Second, promote the continuation and the proliferation of strategic trust in cyberspace and the hedging against irresponsible behaviors such as weaponizations of cyberspace. In the event that underlying the cause of geopolitical conflict cannot be eliminated, a defensive code of conduct should be established to ensure stable operation of critical infrastructures that is crucial to the development of digital economy and the recovery of global economy. Third, promote the benign reform of cyberspace governance norms, focusing on effective management and control of strategic data resources, building a more balanced and symmetric data resource utilization models and government practice, and ensure that emerging powers and developing countries can obtain more balanced benefits from it to prevent a continued expansion of the digital divide between these countries. Fourth, promote the transnational coordinations of strategies and policies related to global cyberspace governance. And in the coordinations, the promotion of global cyberspace governance norms and the practice to achieve pragmatic and effective improvement in a balanced way. Fifth, promote the mechanism marked by the United Nations OEWG to play a more active role following true multilateralisms and striving to build and improve a community of shared futures in cyberspace. On the whole, although the trend of continuous intensifying of geopolitical competition is unlikely to be substantially reversed in the short terms, it is still possible to fully seize the opportunity of the development of digital economy and continuously play the positive role of new actors represented by the BRICS countries. It is possible to minimize the related challenges and impacts, seizing the opportunities, and at the crossroad of history, promote the global cyberspace governance in a benign directions and achieve more positive progress. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your presentation, Professor Cheney. You brought a very important point to the BRICS perspective, that is the need to coordinate the promotion of global cyberspace norms and practice to achieve an improvement in this kind of governance. Well, thank you again. And we will hear right now Nina da Hora, and she's a member also of the Transparency Council of the Superior Electoral Court of Brazil for this election. The time is yours, Nina. You're very welcomed.
Thanks, Maria. Thanks, everyone, for this inviting me. I will present a brief argument about the importance of cooperation between BRICS countries. I'm a part of CyberBRICS group at FGV Rio de Janeiro. And our team discussed a lot how to improve and contribute to cooperation between BRICS countries in this situation, cybersecurity and data protection. And I think we need a shared skeleton of data protection because we use the frameworks from the other countries and the other countries like United Kingdom and United States, and particularly I think these frameworks doesn't work for us. So the relevance of data protection in the BRICS is due in part to global political trends, such as the Brussels effect, triggered by the adoption of GDPR, but also by the numerous related data scandals and the growing awareness that personal data laws are an essential way for dispute functional digital economies while promoting cybersecurity and the other areas. Particularly, I'm part of the election this year in a part cybersecurity, and we had a lot of problems how to educate our people, our society to understand this context. And I think this is a problem in the other in the other BRICS country. But in this perspective, I think we need to increase more our discussion and regulations in the social platforms. I'll explain more about this in the next words, because I think we are modern and compatible and have compatible frameworks. And in the same times, many BRICS countries increase and improve projects and technologies in Internet of Things, NFT, blockchain, fintechs, particularly in Brazil, increasing a lot these areas. And this area needs to share data, share rules, and share principles in cybersecurity. But we had a leak transparency from these companies, and I think this is very how can I say, I forget the word. I think this is worrying. I'm worried about how to increasing companies from United States and the other countries not Latin America, create companies here in Brazil and use Brazil like a labor. So we need to increase our cooperation in BRICS countries to create an environment to share more frameworks, frameworks for our location, our society, and for our location, local problems. For example, blockchain and smart city in Brazil had many problems in our environment to receive these technologies. We not have a good infrastructure to share education, blockchain education, smart city, and how to connect people, because in Brazil we have a lot of problem with accessible, internet accessible. So I think we can to share more between us, our frameworks, to increasing more this comparison. And finally, thinking about how platform and social medias, again, this is the main problem in Brazil and in this year because of the election. And so I think platform and social media's regulations need to be more contextualized locally. So I think it's very good the other countries that not participate in BRICS create frameworks and improve more discussion, but we need to discuss this here to be more contextualized. And I believe it's very difficult to import data protection frameworks and regulations from countries outside the BRICS, because there are some specific problems that only we can to discuss and to create new ways to solve some disease problems. So this is my brief argue and focus in social platforms and social media. A little argue about election, because this is my real context now, and I think this conversation can improve more discussion between us. So thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Nina, for your collaboration. A point that you said is very important, actually, is how it is a need to share the framework between BRICS countries instead of just importing a model. That's very interesting. Our last speaker will be Professor Singh. He's a professor and program coordinator at the Institute of Legal Studies and Research at GLA University. Professor, are you with us? You can start now, please.
Yeah, thank you, Maria, for giving me this opportunity. And first of all, my topic is very exhaustive and it's very tough to, complete within 15 minutes. Despite of that, I will try to summarize the, basic understanding of, this internet, cybersecurity and data protection. So we have to understand actually, what is internet and how it is, connected with the security perspective. So the internet, the world is growing rapidly actually, and there are two sides to a coin. Internet also, has its own disadvantage. In fact, in cybercrime, illegally activity committed on internet, So crime committed using computer and the internet to steal a person identity or illegal importance or malicious programs. Cybercrime is an activity done using computer and the internet. So cybersecurity refers to technology and process designed to protect computers, networks, and data from unauthorized access and attacks delivered via internet by the cyber crime. So the objective of cybersecurity is to establish rules and measures to use against attacks over the internet. Now we have to see the scale of security threat. So according to Forbes, will present us the pack of diverse and terrifying cybersecurity challenges, and everything from supply chain disruption to increase smart device risk to be continued by cyber talent drought. So according to cyber crime magazine, cyber crime will cost the world $10.5 trillion annually by 2025. Furthermore, global cybercrime costs are predicted to rise by almost 15% year over by the next 4 years. So the concepts such as pandemic, cryptocurrency, and the rise in remote working are coming together to create working and create together rich environment for criminal to take advantage. So we have to see, what is cyber security safety. We must protect our computer and data in the same way that we secure the doors to our home. We must behave in the way that protect us against risk and threats that come with technology. So we have to see what are the challenges of cybersecurity, because ransomware is the most serious threat in the digital world right now. There are unprecedented ransomware assault in 2021, and this trend is expected to continue in 2022. And the Internet of the Things, sometimes known as IoT to the most, because this is the digital mechanical computer smart device that can communicate data over the internet network such as laptop or mobile phone. Hackers gets around you such as wearable smartwatch, baby monitors, smart fridge, and some other lighting of the game access to your personal device, which carries sensitive information. And this is yet another significant obstacle. Another major cause of compromised data security as a lack of increment authentication and poor cloud setting. So we have to see, identifying security compromises. So we have to see what are the symptoms. So we have to see antivirus software detects, disk space disappears, the computer slows down to a crash, unusual messages, sounds are displaying, So we have to see how these challenges is to be found as far as the cybersecurity is the concern. Now we have to see importance of cybersecurity. The internet allows attackers to work from anywhere on the planet. Risk caused by poor security knowledge and practices, identity theft, monetary theft, legal ramification, sanctions or termination if policies are not followed. According to the Science Institute, the top vectors of vulnerable available to a cyber crimes are web browser, IM clients, web application, So we have to see categories of cybercrime. We can categorize cybercrime into two ways. The computer as a target, using a computer to attack other computer, example, hacking, virus, worms, attack, etc. the computer as a weapon, using a computer to commit real world crime, example, credit card and fraud, etc. Now we have to see what are the types of cybercrime, So hacking, phishing, denial of services, spam emails, spyware, adware, malware, ATM scaling point of the scale crime, ransomware, So we have already been discussed about the ransomware because this cyber threats, digital threats are categorized into 3 types, and that are cyber crime, cyber attack, and cyber terrorism. If you see, cyber crime is organized by a person or a group targeting financial profit or disruption. Cyber attack is mostly driven by political motivates, and cyber terrorism is mostly done in the massive act to cause erection fear to make those threats happen. Cyber criminals usually use these methods, and some of these are given in the point wise. We have to be seen, lots of problem as far as the cyber threat is concerned, because cyber security is one of the biggest challenges for the global phenomena, because everybody is facing this problem, because it's very easy to target the person who is having their personal data, and how it can be stolen by the hackers very smartly. So we have to see some how we will how we will become cautious as far as the data protection is concerned. So how we will protect our operating system, because Microsoft issues patches or updates to solve security problems in their software. If these are the problems which are be occurring every time, and we are not much aware, the Windows update features built into Windows can be set up to automatically downloaded and install updates. So avoid logging in as administrator. Apply provides regularly updates to its operating system and software application. So we have to see choosing the right internet security tactics. So internet security requires a combination of several products and technology to properly safeguard data. It's important to consider several types of internet security strategy when taking proper measure to help keep our network allows hackers and cyber criminals to exploit and invade. Ensure that you are using a secure browser to reduce the risk of compromising your computer or network. Multi-factor authentication, because multi-factor authentication is a method of controlling computer access by requiring several separate pieces of evidence to an authentication mechanism, website, and the email accounts can be made for secure by requiring at least 2-factor of authentication by a user. Email security, a wave of opportunity for virus worms, trojans, and other unwanted programs. Establishing a multi-layered and comprehensive email security strategy will help significantly reduce exposure to emerging threats. Email messages can be protected by using cryptically, such as signing an email, encrypting the body of email messages, and encrypting the communication between mail servers. So we have to be very cautious. Internet security, how this process will be, how this problem will be, solved. So there are several internet security protects and solution available to help keep our internet uses secure. These include antivirus, password, endpoint, firewall, choosing, bringing computer together, web, filtering, content inspection, antivirus. So these are the methods where we can, think that how this problem can be resolved. Now we have to conclude the topic of the day. Internet security consists of a range of security tactics for protecting activities and transactions conducted online over the internet. And these tactics are meant to safeguard users from threats such as hacking into computer system, emails, addresses, or website, malicious software, and that can infect and inherently damage system, and identity theft by hacker who steal personal data such as bank account information and credit cards number. Internet security is a specific aspect of broader concept such as cyber security and computer security, being focused on the specific threat and vulnerabilities of online access and use of the internet. In today's digital landscape, many of our daily activity rely on the internet. Various forms of communication, entertainment, and financial and work-related tasks are accomplished online. This means that tons of data and sensitive informations are consistently being shared over the internet. The internet is mostly private and secure, but it can also be an insecure channels for exchanging information with high risk of destruction by hackers and cyber criminals. Internet security is a top priority for individuals and businesses alike. So this is all about me from my side as far as internet, cyber security, and data protection is concerned. So Maria, thank you so much for providing me this opportunity, wonderful opportunity. Thank you so much.
Sorry, Maria, you are on mute. Maria, you are on mute. We did not hear you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sithole. I did not saw that. I was saying thank you very much to the Professor Singh for this contribution.
And opportunity. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. And now I believe that we still have a few minutes, and we have selected some questions from the audience to the speakers. So the first question is for Dr. Happy Sithole. Doctor was talking in his presentation about some of the security challenges that we face. And we have a question about the data leaks from a government or an important politician, as already happened in some episodes, like the candidate to US election, Hillary Clinton, who had her emails leaked, and this kind of data leaked causes an institutional crisis, or maybe can change election results. So we would like to know what strategies should be taken by the governments or other institutions to avoid this kind of relevant data leaks that can cause us crisis in international and national levels.
No, thank you very much, Maria, for the question. I think it's a very important question that when you plan the cybersecurity, one should not just be looking at one type of data. And in that case, it also highlights the fact that the cybersecurity must be a national coordinated effort. So you have got the citizens' data, but you also have got key strategic data that needs to be protected. So those things should be at the core of deciding on the national cybersecurity, and to make sure that such leaks are not possible, because you look at the coordinated cybersecurity strategy at all levels, from citizens and also at the government level. Thank you. You are on mute again, Maria, the mute button.
Now I learned. Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Happy Sithole, for your answer. Now we have a question for Professor. Professor was talking about the cooperation between countries in cybersecurity. And we have a question in the sense of what is the role of countries with a wider cybersecurity infrastructure, like China, in promoting digital regulation and cooperation with other countries? And also, how should BRICS cooperate with other developing countries in this issue?
Very good questions. I answered the second part first. I think the BRICS countries can contribute to other countries, either the cybersecurity or the development of the digital economy and the cyberspace governance, at least three aspects. The first, the BRICS countries can produce best practice because we have so different cultural and historical background. And BRICS countries can develop their own best practice to solve these cybersecurity issues and the governance of cyberspace governance and the development of digital economies. For example, China has quite experience with developing digital economies represented by the e-commerce online platforms and the development of the online payment systems and so on. And then China are very willing to deliver such kind of experience, to sharing this experience for the developing countries. And second, we can share the capacities of building information infrastructures. I think that during that speeches, one speaker mentioned that the lack of necessary critical information infrastructures is one of the most important obstacles that the developing countries need to deal with. I think China is quite willing, and the BRICS countries, we can develop kind of joint models. For example, under the new development banks, we can help and invest, providing them the financial support and helping these developing countries to get resources which are necessary to build their own more reliable and secure, affordable, I mean, at a low cost critical information infrastructures. And the third, we can deal with our joint capacities to countering back these the threat in the cyberspace. Just a few weeks or months ago, that one of China's universities facing this online cyber attack, and our companies providing them an attribution service and helping them to trace back the source or the origins of the attackers. Such kind of capacities or capabilities held inside China companies can be very easily shared with the other developing countries. And as the first part of the questions, how to cooperate with other countries, I think China already developed quite matured models to develop such kind of cooperations among different countries. We have several very practical principles. First, we respect each other's. I mean that when we developing such kind of corporations, we respect the difference. We respect the equality of the sovereignty among countries, no matter whether they are strong or weak on this, either the powers in the real world or in cyber world. And the second, we prefer to develop these models, these corporations in a very suitable speed. We did not push that much if we are doing such kind of corporations. We just want to fit for the maximum levels to fulfill all those requirements raised by these developing countries. Third, I think we can sharing these resources in very flexible ways. China is quite practical to doing these cooperation issues, especially with these developing countries. We have a lot of quite good examples in countries in different areas and in different backgrounds. We can cover the spectrum from the information infrastructure buildings to very detailed delivery of a commercial or technical resolution of very detailed issues, including the ICT communications, the e-commerce, and the e-governance issues. We can just pick any kind of interesting issues you want from this spectrum. So I think that's my answers to the questions.
Thank you very much for your answer, Professor Singh. Now, I would like to know if Nina da Hora have 1 or 2 minutes to answer a question. Perfect. In this case, I will speak a little bit. The question is, the fake news divulged by international artificial intelligence is a phenomenon that has been influencing the outcome of elections. How to balance the fight against fake news and the respect for freedom of speech and the press, which is a very important part of the internet.
Thanks, Maria, for this question. It's very difficult to answer, but it's important to try to answer this question, because the moment we are living in Brazil, it's exactly this debate. First thing, I think we need to understand freedom of expression and freedom of the press from the Brazilian context. So we have some difference between freedom of expression from the United States and then from the Brazil context. And I think in many moments we mix these perspectives, and this mix provoke us, how can I say, this confuse of the concepts from the freedom of expression and press in Latin America from the United States provoke a social platform monitoring. So this, for me, this is the main problem. The social platform monitoring our communication, and we don't have access how these social platforms moderate the context in election context, for the people understand. And in this moment, the election in Brazil is decided from social platforms. The campaign, the discussion, the dispute of narratives happens in social platforms, in different social platforms. So we have this problem. The responsibility the government responsibility is more confused now because the social platform monitor and moderate the context, and we don't have access of the transparency of the results. This is the one of the things. The other things about how to balance the fight against fake news and disrespect, I think our problems in fake news and misinformation in Brazil is about education. We had a leak digital education, and after this, after the 2010, we had many problems to understand how to develop more critical think in technology, critical think in the cybersecurity situation. And now we had this problem and with fake news and misinformation. For me, education, digital education is the key, with some technologies that uses like tools, not like the direction. I'm not technical politics like technical society. I don't believe the technology solve the problems in society. I believe the people solve these problems. So I think this is the balance: more humans and then technologies in this situation. You are muted. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Nina. We know it's not an easy question, but you give us very important things to think about. Now we had a Professor Singh. Have you solved the issue with the internet? Are you here with us?
Yeah. Now you're audible to me. There was some network issue. Yeah.
Just in time. Okay, we have a question for Dr. Singh, once he's with us right now. And the question is, just one second, I have it here. Dear Professor Singh, each one of the BRICS countries have different crimes in national legislation and internet. And internet does not respect borders in case of piracy or illegal pornography. There is a strong risk that if international cooperation does not take place fast to remove this content, the damage will be irreversible. How can BRICS country act to respond quickly?
Yeah, it's a very good question, Maria. But I think that it's a BRICS country has can play a very important role as far as this cybercrime is concerned, because this is global problem. This is not the problem of Asian country or some other country. We have to see we have to make some regulations. We have to make some laws as far as the international perspective is concerned. And I think the BRICS country can play a very important role as far as the cyber crime is concerned, because they have to be technologically very sound in comparison to this Asian country. And if they are making for entire world and how it can be stopped as far as the cyber crime is concerned, they can play a really very important role.
Perfect. Thank you, Professor, for your answer. Right now, we have one last question for everyone who wants to make a contribution in the sense. And the question is about, dear professors, NATO has the Cooperative Cyber Defense Center of excellence in Tallinn, Estonia. I'm not giving the idea of a BRICS military center, but maybe we can think of a BRICS center dedicated to cybersecurity and defense against cybercrimes, ransomware, and so. Any professor wants to make a comment about this subject?
I think the question is very, very interesting. It just to get to the point. Actually, NATO and the BRICS are totally different organizations or institutions. If BRICS is a kind of institution, actually BRICS is not institutionalization enough comparing to NATO. And second, the BRICS and NATO has quite different function of focusing on these cybersecurity issues. To NATO, cyberspace is a new military domain, and the cyber capacities development of these defense, deterrence, offense, other things in the cyberspace is mainly served for their military functions, or more clearly to protecting the U.S. hegemonies. According to U.S. Cyber Command, the main mission of this command is to expand the freedom of operations of the United States and its allies, and close or depress other countries' freedom of operations in the cyberspace. But to BRICS countries, we should develop cooperation, not in the name as kind of centers or the things, but I think it's quite necessary to sharing our capacities and the capabilities, to sharing our experience to countering this cyber attack, because I think the BRICS countries did have joint interest to ensure the security of cyberspace, especially to protecting our information infrastructures and countering back those cyber offensive operations and the cyber espionage and exploitation operations in the cyberspace. I think he raised a very important point. And in future, maybe I think the BRICS countries should launch more effective cooperations to ensure the cyberspace security, but not like NATO. We did not think this cyberspace a kind of military domain, but it's a very important domain critical to our development, especially sustainable economic and social development for all BRICS member states. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Cheny. Is there anyone more to make a comment about this subject? Well, in this case, I believe that our time is ending, so we'll be ending this panel. I would like to thank very much the speakers for their contribution. I would like to thank Ibrachina for their support with the technical platform, to thank also the audience that is following us today. Today at 7 p.m. Brasilia time, we'll be having our next panel on perspective and opportunity in the fourth international revolution in a perspective of the BRICS on the same YouTube channel. And above all, I would like to once again thank our four experts in the subject. Brilliant contribution to the topic and the today, and I'm sure that everyone who follow it enjoy it very much. So thank you again.
Maria. Thank you, Maria, for providing us this wonderful opportunity.
For your perfect moderate of this session.
And you have been coordinated superbly this event. Thank you, Maria. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, all professors.
Bye-bye. Thank you very
Bye.
much.
Bye.